Just so incredibly grateful for your time, and you are this big grand scientist. I believe that you are a revolutionary, just like
Mm.
Bill Tiller was, and it is remarkable to find people who are so highly advanced in terms of physics, medicine, information medicine, to actually be spreading this knowledge. So
Jasna, I love your enthusiasm. You're so kind. My goodness. Ultimately, I'll tell you this. So, the biggest thing about spirituality is that it's not serious. It is so fun and so juicy. Your life becomes one big spontaneous adventure. Spontaneous is it. You're not driven by the past. You're living right here, right now. You know, when people say be in the present? Exactly so. Now, it takes a little while, you know. Tiller was, by the time I met him, he had had meditation under his belt for about 30 to 40 years. Okay. And I met him in Scottsdale, and I knew this is the mentor I want. And I'll tell you more a bit later, but it was clear, first of all, he was not a showy guy.
no, not at all.
No, no. He loved French fries and apple pie. We had a very um, laid back conversation. I was the one terrified of meeting him because whenever you meet a rock star in science, you know, I went in with the idea that as though, Jasna, just imagine if you're meeting Isaac Newton for the first time. What would you ask him?
I wouldn't even know where to start, but I would prep for days and months before.
So I had his books with me and I didn't understand them. So, what do you do when you meet a rock star in science? Okay, so I went in with a bit of starry eyes and fear. Okay, I was a little terrified because I was wasting his time. And I wasn't wasting his time. He was generous, kind, and said, what really are your questions?
Mm.
Open up your questions. And I said, you know, actually, there was so much confusion in my mind, and I don't really know. I don't really know what you are saying in your books, but they are really important because something inside of me is like a quickening. I feel something. So that's your intuition playing. Now, you can rationalize it away, which I could have done. I said, oh, you know, I've got papers to write and clinics to run, and I don't want to go there. But I gave it meaning. I just stayed with the feeling and I said, I don't understand these equations, but this guy is saying something. I gotta reach out to him. All right. So that
You had a
was,
pull. You had a
yeah,
pull. Yeah,
yeah, I was very, very moved.
and
Yeah.
what is remarkable, so in the book Bridging Science and Spirit, I felt the same. I have the psychoenergetic science book right here. And I would read parts of him like, I just don't understand. I don't understand. But I felt like there was something that he was saying that it was very important for me to know. So
Yes.
this
Yes.
book is really the journey of you taking a sabbatical and saying, I don't fully understand, but I want to. And that is,
Mhm.
I feel like I am talking to a rock star because you had the courage and insight and years of research, commitment to actually translate some of the concepts that were so ahead of its time. So I want to thank you for that. And
Well, Jasna, you know, you remind me of the time when I was at the Mayo Clinic. You know, I'm a rheumatologist, so I deal with people who have chronic diseases and they have arthritis. You know, we've made great strides in treatment and understanding the immune processes. But I knew, so, you know, integrate, I'm an integrative physician. What that means, the word integrative means I combine the best of conventional with the best of complementary to augment conventional care. I don't deny it. I use it. I prescribe medicines and steroids and all that. I want to keep out the inflammation as quickly as possible. But to give turmeric and fish oil in medicines was not cutting it. And I knew that there is something far more to paying attention to the human body. And this is where Tiller comes in. And my segue into his work was the biofields of the body. The body has material things that we can see and dissect in the anatomy lab, which is the muscles, the nerves, the blood vessels. And, the beauty of the human physiology is breathtaking. But it doesn't end there. It's much more. When I talk about the biofield, I'm talking about the acupuncture system. And I'll tell you, medicine has really grappled with this. It's like a mystery, okay? We're getting a little closer, but we're taking a God knows how long, with randomized controlled trials and sham needles. And listen, they're real. They're very real. And this was the segue to Tiller's work, his paper, 1993. And this is free. You can go to Google Science and Google Papers, Google Scholar. What are subtle energies? What are subtle energies? 1993. He coined the term subtle energies. So here's a physicist, Stanford, height of his career. Okay, he's an engineer. He knows physics and mathematics like, oh, come on. Okay, he has patents and all this kind of stuff. But he was actually really curious in parallel with his conventional science. He was doing this other work that when I meditate, I feel things and I can move things. So what are these Qigong masters really doing? Because they're doing something and I could feel it too. I can play with the ball of energy between my hands. What gives? And medicine cannot get there really. And here's a reason why, because your listeners will be curious. Well, then, if you feel it, we can measure it, right? Because in science, we measure things, we measure the temperature, the color, all of these analysis. Subtle energies escape that, right? We cannot see it, we cannot see the channels, but they're very real. We feel them. And they're subtle. They're not weak, but they can really move things. Energy. And this is the thing about Tiller's work. He realized they're not electromagnetic. Big clue. All of our world, the CERN included in Switzerland, when we do lots of physics experiment, what are we doing? We're looking at fundamental particles, electrons, protons. We smash protons, and we try to get to the Big Bang of the universe. The Big Bang really is electromagnetic, but the subtle energies are even more fundamental. They're not electromagnetic. So you can put an instrument close to Jasna and it won't register a thing because it isn't electrons flowing through it. It's something different. Just that one clue opens up your perception already. You're not limited in electromagnetic forces. All right? So just put that out there.
It is,
Okay.
this is incredible. It's opening up. I mean, it is a completely different way of looking at the world, Nisha.
Yes. You don't deny it and you don't say just because I don't see it, it's not there. That's a really big no in science, that we only have to see it and then we believe in it. No, that's incorrect.
Well,
So with integrative, I knew that giving turmeric and fish oil and all of this excellent conventional care, we have the subtle energies, and my patients would make a leap in their own physical wellness and their emotional wellness when they're doing Tai Chi or breathing or yoga. And I asked them, what are you doing? Because I look at your lab work and you look fantastic. I don't want to give you more medicines. This is a mismatch. This has happened where you look at a lab work, you're preparing for the appointment, and this wonderful person comes into your room and they look fantastic. Okay? You don't want to treat lab work, you want to treat the person.
Mm.
And that's when I realized, I paused and moved back and I said, what's going on here? What's going on? And I asked my patients, and they said, one of them offered that I do meditation and I do Tai Chi every day. Even if I don't feel like it, I put out the mat. The intention was there. That's it. The intention was there, and she would get on the mat and do some breathing and come to her appointments or whatever her day held. So that was the big clue that subtle energies are real. They can really move the physical and power up all the conventional, even though we see, oh my God, there might be something really, bad that we have to jump in with all kinds of stuff. No, not necessarily. Always treat the patient.
I loved how you've made that transition. So your nudging was that you're a physician treating people. There was something more that cannot be explained, and it led you
Right.
into the world of thermodynamics and intention, which now we know can be measured in intention can influence matter. Unbelievable. I know.
Right, right. We always think, yeah, sure, but show me. Why isn't it happening?
How? Well, we're going to show them how. That is my hope. Well, first of all, if you're listening to this or watching this anywhere you are, pick up the book Bridging Science and Spirit by Dr. Nisha Manek, because this is the book that really you talk about building a bridge of understanding from conventional physics and how we're limited in how we view some of those things that we cannot measure in our field.
Right.
So, okay, Jasna, you're telling me that you're vibrating, but I can't, how do I measure? And like, I know the feeling, and I also know that the other people around me can feel that kind of energy of
Yes.
intention, even in this conversation. What is my agenda, right? So having that, I believe that anyone that I talk to is going to feel this. So if you pick up this book, you will understand the actual science in such a, I felt, simple way that really allowed me to finally comprehend. I'm like, aha. I felt like light bulbs were going off, Nisha. So I want to really thank you for taking the time to actually write this, because I
Yeah.
know that it wasn't, most of your family was like, what are you doing, Nisha?
They did say that. What are you doing? You're leaving this clinic and everything behind it, and you're doing this? When you are in the pursuit of truth, you don't give up. And I think that was it. There was this commitment for this lifetime to pursue the truth. And I felt Tiller came closest in his science to really unlocking that mystery of what a Homo sapiens really is. This Homo sapiens, the thinking species, the creative species.
Mhm.
And in that, he's very, he passed away earlier this year, but he's still here. When I say Tiller it's very real. He had such an impact on my life. Tiller was so hard to understand. Okay, his papers, as you said, his book, Psychoenergetic Science. When I would write to him, when I saw what are subtle energies, there was this silence, nothing happening, because he didn't have computers. He would tell the lab person to check his messages. Until one day I got this message: Bill says, read his book, Psychoenergetic Science. So I read it. I read it again and again, and I was writing arrows and sticky notes and post-its. And I wrote to him, I said, look, I'm coming to Arizona, Scottsdale. I want to meet you. Please, if you could just spare me one evening. I was very intentional about this, okay? I wasn't going to give up. I just knew, as you said, something moves you to just speak to him. Well, long story short, he actually said no to me. You go back to Mayo Clinic. You shouldn't be messing with physics, was his, our languages don't intersect. And it was later on, Jasna, that out of the blue, about 3 months later, it was summer of 2009, 3 months later, he calls me out of the blue and says, I've been thinking about your proposal a bit more. And I think if you can translate something of my science for your colleagues, it was really to get to medicine, then I think I will work with you. And then he made another request. I said, okay, no problem. He says, I have no funding. I said, I don't care. I don't care about funding or no funding. I'm in. But he made one request on the phone, and just listen to this because it was really tremendous. And I wrote it in the manuscript, and that is, I want you to meditate daily. Which university, which medical center, and I've applied, through my career and lifetime, I've filled out many application forms, right? Tell me one place where it says, do you meditate daily? One of the most fundamental skills of a Homo sapiens is what? To become familiar with your own mind, your own preferences and prejudices. You need to understand yourself, know thyself. So when Tiller said, I want you to meditate daily, I was so dumbstruck and delighted. I knew that's it. That's it. This was a missing piece in science. And he just said it very plainly on the phone. Didn't say how long, didn't say what I should do. That was up to me. I come to Scottsdale, and one of the first evening meals we had together, he says, Nisha, you're on a, meditation. I hope you're doing this. And I said, you bet I am. And he says, I just want you to know that when people embark on meditation, you want something immediately, but it can take time, okay, for the chaos to settle out, but you keep at it. All right. So that was very wise of him to say, it's okay. I know where you're going here. I'm very energetic and I have lots of things. And, I wanted to ask him bazillion things, even in a menu. Okay. So it was a kind way of saying, I hope you're meditating and that timelessness is necessary. Now you're taking the time, but what you encounter is timeless. You encounter yourself, you become familiar with your own mind. And that was very valuable to acknowledge and confirm what he had been through. 1970s as a young Oxford scholar, he started meditating, but he was doing it here and there, but it was really then full on serious every day, an hour in the afternoon. And so by the time he came into Stanford in the 1990s, he was there a long time, but 1990s, he decided to do the target experiments. And so he knew that the monkey mind, the thing we carry on our backs, it's whittled away. Sometimes it can happen speedily in a non-linear way. Suddenly it's all gone. Or it can take time. Don't be disappointed. You just stay with it because the divine is taking steps towards you. It's a juicy way to live. It really is. So that was the biggest gift I can tell you in my interactions. Meditate, and even before I got to Scottsdale, okay? And it's something I do every day, twice a day, 20 minutes. I just sit quietly. I just sit on my chair, okay, and close my eyes. I even used to ask him, how do you meditate, Dr. Tiller? What do you do? Like there's some magic and mystery. He says, oh, yeah. And I said, okay, that was okay. He says, no, I'm not joking. You said. It was very, very beautiful. He just said, and Jean Tiller, his wife, said, Nisha, you can always take your awareness from, we think consciousness is the brain. It's not. Consciousness is a field. You drop your awareness down to the center of your heart and stay there. Breathe in and out and stay there. And you can repeat a single contemplative line. I am free. I am love. I am awareness. There are many others, but you can go there and just be there. And that's extremely powerful. Just what I've just said, for your clients, for any of these listeners, if they can just have the willingness to be here, take a deep breath, close your eyes to the outside world, and just go breathe and drop your awareness to your heart. It's speaking the truth to you. All
Mm.
right? That's all it is. And then came this book. And I'll tell you, it was an engineering of sorts, because out of this vast realm of tiller work, and also a lot of supporting science, it's not just tiller, but I had to bring in the CERN. I brought in John Wheeler, brought in Paul Dirac, Maxwell. There are other luminaries, and they're just fantastic. I feel like they're my family. So, taking the bricks of ideas and constructing the pillar, one, where we are now. Number two, let's look at this aspect now. Number three, let's introduce, and I'm going to come back to thermodynamics, but that's energy.
Mhm.
Energy is what moves our world, okay, our cosmos. I'm moving my hands and speaking to Jasna because I have energy. All
Mhm.
right. So, energy is our, you might say, universal currency, our raw material. There's a law that governs energy. That's thermodynamics. That, in a nutshell, that's all it is. But the beauty of Tiller has shown this, and that's pillar number 4, his target experiments. When you become sufficiently developed in your practice, and Tiller had, I told you 30 years, and he was a genius in math, he was now ready to ask, can now my thoughts change water? Simple as it sounds.
Mhm.
Simple as it sounds. He says, well, I can't keep thinking over this glass of water, so he wrote it out. May the hydrogen ions in this water go up by a factor of 10, right? Very scientific, very scientific.
An intention statement.
That's it. You can have, I want a red sports car. Okay, write it down. I love a red sports car, two-seater with the top down. I don't know. Write it down.
And he was very precise about writing it down. There was something about not just having it in your thought, but actually writing it down as an intention statement.
Writing it down is a kind of, and in fact, hold it and then write it down. You'll feel a difference when you write it down. There's an emotional intelligence that also is there, and I will tell you, when you're writing it out, you'll actually say, that doesn't feel quite so right anymore. And just the revision of it tells you you're on the right track. You reprioritize things. So he used to write it down, and he had a spiral notebook he carried in his briefcase, and he would bring it out, and he always wrote these intentions. We worked on them together quite a lot, and there were steps to it. Let's decide on, a patient of mine. We were doing information medicine on this gentleman, and we said, okay, he has this arthritis, and conventional medicine has been limited. What are his goals? And we formed an intention, and we would go together looking at, we want this goal, and then this goal, and then this goal. He, the patient, and me decided, and Tiller crafted the actual English language.
It's
You
amazing.
see,
And
so it's
that
like that.
I love that. And that refers to the story of your patient who was really struggling for many, many years of
Yeah.
severe pain and arthritis, and how the IHD, and we're going to talk more about that, an
Yeah.
intention statement you've crafted alleviated his pain unlike anything else that you've ever attempted before.
Yeah, this was so fascinating, but one thing I want to say about Pillar 4, and I didn't realize until my editor pointed it out, Robert pointed it out. Tiller used to write "Thy will be done" at the end of every intention statement. And I used to think it's rather quaint, poetic, nice, nice, okay, nice, okay. So I'm writing it because that was really his, he would write "Thy will be done" in the book. And Robert, the editor, pointed out, Nisha, that's the Lord's Prayer.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know. Can you imagine all these years with Dr. Tiller? And it came to me like I was so dumbstruck at the absolute, the Lord's Prayer is Master Jesus speaking to the field, to the Father, our own inner teacher. Okay, that's tremendous. I'm using a lot of words here, I realize that. But thy will be done is saying, oh Lord, show me the truth of this. He didn't tell a funding agency, show me the truth of this. He didn't tell an editor of a journal, anybody saying, thy will be done. Oh God, show me the truth of this. And that was tremendously heartfelt, powerful. So when I practice this at the bedside with my patients, we craft an intention and we write, thy will be done.
Yeah, well, I
Or
feel
amen.
amen, or so it is. I feel like Jesus understood thermodynamics all too well because there is this assumption it's done. I say that it's done, and it's my intention, assumption that it's taken care of, and
Yes.
I just have to hold it there. That is, I speak it into reality, which is what really we need right now in today's world. And this is so what you've already shared about meditation. I can't thank you enough because that is a powerful reminder of how some of the prescriptions are very, very simple. But Nisha, people are really struggling today,
Yeah.
right? There's a constant influx of negative informational input.
Yes.
So even now, the wars, polarity, inflation, and we're very, very affected. We're highly incoherent. And I know
Yes.
you've written about entropy and agentropy, which I finally understood in ways of like, am I being incoherent? Meaning, are my ways all scattered all over, or am I becoming more coherent like that is
Yes.
what meditation does? So
Yes.
I'm curious, why do you, question is, do you notice the same thing?
Yeah, I do. Sure. You see, individually, we have great shifts happening to us. They're beyond our control, but our reaction to them is in our control. You're only subject to what you hold in mind. I repeat, you're only subject to what you hold in mind. And we'll come back to that. Remind me, okay? Because it's really important. So when you have all the myriad thoughts which are incoherent, they're really anxiety, fear, apathy, to all the way to sheer anger, right? We can have full on rage of, why is this happening? I was in control, things were going well, and now we have all this stuff going on. When will it end? Actually, I hear this also a lot. When will it end? One of the first things, I say, okay, first is let's clear out our own individual diet. And when I say diet, it's what you eat. Throw out the soda, the soda and the chips and the junk food and carrageenan to MSG. Clear out your diet through the mouth, clear out your diet through the eyes, shut off the television, for God's sakes.
Mhm.
Can we do that? Okay, shut it out. Shut out what you're listening to for a while. It'll be there. Just shut it out, because everything you're taking in your eyes, ears, mouth is your diet. We think diet is just what you put in your mouth. Actually, no, your diet is all the information you're collecting from the environment, okay, that you're incorporating and accepting. Okay, so once you have that awareness, okay, what am I doing? I haven't watched TV in 3 years plus. I don't miss it.
Mhm. Same.
Okay, this is somebody who reads the Wall Street Journal and Economist. It's all gone, because I don't know what's, as you said, it's really not truth. Okay, it's constantly the goalposts are moving. Well, then I can take charge of myself. I shut it off. I clean my diet. I have nice tea. Okay, All right. And I listen to music. All right. It's not rock music, but there are certain sounds, they will heal you. So start with just your individual consciousness. Become aware of your diet. Clean it up. Clean it up. Now you can move into the first way to release the anxiety. And this is absolutely in our control. Absolutely. And I teach it to my patients. Breath, breath, anchor to your breath. People do not know how to breathe anymore. I'm telling you right away. I listen to people's chests and I think, are you breathing like
Mm,
this? Okay, this is not breathing. Breathe deep, hold, and let it out. And you're engaging the vagus nerve of the body. This is tremendously healing. Anti-inflammatory, right? Energizes you. You talked about energy. You want free energy? Your vagal tone is right there. You don't have to take Red Bull and caffeine. You just breathe. Breathe. It will
mm.
energize you and release your anxiety. And expect another stack of anxiety to come up. You are in control. By the way, any of these emotions of anxiety, anger, greed, loss of control, loss of focus, they're limited. They're finite. You, the essence of that which you are, is infinite. It's love. So whenever these things come up, clean them off. It's like a mirror, you're cleaning it. Let the blocks to the awareness of the love, that the essence of that which you are, fall away. Let them go. Breathe. And if there's a lot of anxiety, open up your heart like a window. Let these butterflies out because it's not yours to keep. Powerful practice. Breathe, open, and the solar plexus, survival mode, open, let the butterflies out. And you keep doing that, and I promise you, they'll start to sit up a little straighter and breathe a bit better.
Smile.
Yes, the outer conditions are exactly the same. Who cares? But you are in charge. And then another practice is just moving into silence. Then you do a few deep breaths, and I can tell you I've done this. And honestly, it's hard to talk for me. I just have to sit there for about 5, 6 minutes and then energize myself to, okay, I'm going to form words again. Okay. The silence is very wonderful and natural. So clean out your diet, clean out your environment, breathe. Okay. And move into silence. I just want to say something, and I know, Jasna, just interrupt me at any time, okay?
Oh,
Because
I am taking it in. I'm thinking, oh my God, right now what you just said is the prescription for the book that I'm writing. It is the prescription for every single human because what I'm hearing over and over is, well, I'm not in control. Look at the world. I'm like, you are absolutely in control every single day of your environment, and we're going to talk about that, and of your mind. And if you're feeling completely rattled, it's what was your diet last few days, last few hours, like
yes,
Nisha says, right? Not
yes,
what I'm drinking, but what are you
yes,
taking in on a daily
yes.
basis is causing this hyperventilated feeling of, oh my God, there's hope. The world is hopeless. Everything is falling apart. We get,
We're lurching from one extreme to another, Jasna. Expect it. It's okay. So, there are times I'll just shut off the social media because I do have some channels, and you look at it, and I even that. Read, keep creating, keep creating. So I write intentions every day. I write them for myself, my family, my patients. I even ask them, can I write an intention for you? Let's work on this together. That is very beautiful because that's love.
it
That's
is.
natural, right? And all the finite things will just, they're finite, they run out, they have to run the course, so you don't resist it, You stay with the discomfort of it. You feel, okay, oh God, I saw this and oh, what's going to happen? You sit with it, breathe, let the window open, let the butterflies out, and keep doing it for several minutes. And it's so beautiful. You come out a little lighter and be quiet. It's okay. You don't
Yeah,
have to do all the actions.
quiet the storm. Well, yeah, we feel like we have to do 300 things when prescription is very, very simple. I want to remind you what you just said earlier. We're subject to what we hold in mind,
Yeah. We're
right?
only subject to what you hold in mind, okay? What you see inside is what you're projecting out there. That's a tremendous realization because, we tend to say all of that is happening out there. It has nothing to do with me. But actually, we are putting into the collective field of consciousness. Consciousness is not your brain. I point to my head here. That's incorrect. And I wrote it in my book that consciousness is a field. A field means it's a continuum, no gaps, okay? It's a continuum of love, okay? And out of this unmanifest comes the manifest things
I,
that we call material things.
I love that there's something when you're speaking of consciousness, your book is highly indexed, just so you know. It's like all marked up. You say consciousness is not a thing, but a process of personal growth and registering new experiences. And the level of consciousness is the most crucial aspect of health. And I assume that's all aspects of health. I'd wager it will improve relationships, improve self-esteem, lift us up to really live all without drugs.
Yes,
And
yes,
that's just so and that's remarkable. And you say we must act and overthrow the programming on our cell phones, unplug from the TV. We're being called to become alert, awake, and in charge.
yes, we're being called to become Homo sapiens to Homo spiritus.
From Homo dubitus.
I say spiritus because, Homo dubitat is the doubting man, the
Yeah, yeah,
skeptical
yeah.
person. I was
That's what I'm
inventing
saying.
terms for this book.
Away from Homo dubitat, we're moving. No, I love that. You know,
Yes.
what is I think that another thing that's coming up is that a lot of people are telling me when they come home, what I love about this conversation, you have been interviewed quite a bit, and Tellurian physics is and thermodynamics are concept that is becoming more prominent. But what I love about the conversation we're having is so practical.
Mhm.
From a giant like yourself and
Mhm.
and the memory of Dr. Tiller, who's still here, that we're actually sharing things that can help people who are struggling in everyday.
Yes.
So thank you
Yes.
for that. And very often I will hear people, well, I just feel like my home is just, full of anxiety and full of chaos. And in the book, you also quote Tiller as saying physical space that we're in
Mhm.
is malleable to human intention. And
Yes.
you have witnessed, experiments that show the space was changed to become conditioned or pumped,
Yes. Yes.
and it change with our emotions and intention, right? So
Yes.
I have an intention statement for my home behind paintings that I bless and I constantly pump and when I meditate. But would you please explain what is a conditioned space,
Mhm.
even
Mhm.
this office that I'm in, right?
Yes.
That it
Yes.
can become we elevated with our own emotions. What does that mean? Does it make us feel better, or what's the point of it, Nisha?
Great question. So, I did medicine in London and I worked at St. Thomas's Hospital, which is a big system just across the Parliament buildings on River Thames. And just across Westminster Bridges, Westminster Abbey. Okay. So I at lunch hours, if I had time, I would go to the Abbey and sit there. I had no idea what I was doing. It just felt good. Why did it feel good? What's now I could keep my eyes closed and you could transport me back to the lab. I worked in the lab in London. I did genetics of arthritis, and you could put me back in the office and I would know, even though I have closed my ears, closed my eyes. So what is it about the space of the Abbey and my lab in St. Thomas's Hospital, even though I have no sensory input, we feel it, don't we? What is it about the Abbey over centuries of people's intention, from the stained glass windows, the beautiful music, the sculpting, the pews, the very intention of people making this grand structure to honor the divine? We feel it centuries later.
We
It
do.
is eternal. And here's the thing, I'm keeping my eyes closed in the back of the pew, but I feel it. I feel energized, and I go back to my office and continue my papers or whatever it is. Okay? The same feeling. This is interesting. Listen to this. So I go to Tiller's Payson Labs. Now, Payson is a small town in the center of Arizona. It's quite an elevation. It's surrounded by pine trees, very lovely. Tiller had his labs there. The first time I went to his labs, imagine entering a space full of computers, gauges, thermometers, Faraday cages, and I'm sitting there in the lab waiting for him, and I felt this sense of hallowed space. I could have been in Westminster Abbey or the Tiller lab. There was no difference. What is the quality of that space? Ask yourself. It's not the content. Tiller's intention did something to the physical vacuum of the space. And I'll tell you, physics will say this. The chair I'm sitting on is mostly empty space. The electromagnetic forces between atoms hold the thing together. You can split it. You can split the chair. And the reality of the universe is that the most, I would say 95% of reality is actually empty. Okay, nobody will argue with that. They all say, yes, actually, the atom, if you really blow it up, is like this little thing in the middle of a football field, and the electrons way over there. What's in between? Nothing, except there is something. And that's what we call the field. It has the field of potential. And this is what Tiller says, that his intention, he stumbled into the biggest, you might say, mystery of the target experiments. That when you do any experiments in thermodynamics, you want to monitor the target and the surrounding conditions of the lab. And he noticed the lab space was behaving really weird. He was monitoring the temperature. He was monitoring the water temperature. And he says, I don't know, Nisha, these things were all, really rhythmic. Boom, 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 like a music right on sync. It had nothing to do with the, time of day, circadian, winter, summer in Arizona. It had nothing to, original experiments were actually in Plymouth, Minnesota. It was in Minnesota. And Greg Fandel is from Minnesota, so he stayed in with Tiller. But anyway, they were originally done in Minnesota, and then it moved to Arizona. What is this waves? He was seeing them. Then he did mathematics on that waveform to reduce them into harmonics. You can do that. You can do that with birdsong, and you can see, oh, look, the birdsong is this frequency and this frequency. And he did that. He did that mathematical Fourier analysis and found that these temperature things, these water things, are nesting into each other. That's really weird. You don't see that in normal labs. You don't see that kind of behavior. And even if these currents were temperature or air, if you put a fan in the room, they would disappear instantaneously. He put fans, he put this, he tried to interrupt them. He said they just kept going for 4 to 5 years. They were just, they were measuring them for a very long time. They were very consistent. It was not random. It was absolutely there. and he realized this is an indicator of something actually happening, and it's not in the air. So where is it coming from? Where is this fluctuations coming from? That's when he realized that human intention is touching the physical vacuum, tickling it. Oh. And from there comes, what is the physical vacuum? Potential, unmanifest. And we know from Carl Anderson's work in Cal State, Caltech, not Cal State, Caltech, that's where matter comes from. When you have enough energy, human consciousness, intention energy, or you have energy from the sun's rays, cosmic energy, it does something to the vacuum where you pop out an electron.
Ex-
Matter,
it excites it.
yes, you're exciting the field.
And then we're turning it from potentiality into actuality.
I'm clapping. I'm clapping. That's
I've done the,
exactly right.
I'm
It's
learning from the
exactly.
best.
So science is probabilistic, right? We look at probabilities of things happening. With your intention, you're moving the needle now to actuality all the time, all the time.
All the time. So what I really want to reiterate what Nisha just said in a way that our thoughts, our emotions, our intentions create the space, and that space affects us. So it's kind of like this boomerang. We affect the space and the space affects us. You were talking about healers' offices, doctors' offices, where the physicians are pumping the space with good intentions of healing. This is
Yes.
why churches, mosques, synagogues can often be such beautiful oases for that kind of healing.
You
So
know, the way I see it, and I used to laugh when Dr. Tiller says, he says, you know, Nisha, conditioned space where people feel a sense of well-being and uplifted, it's hospitals, chemotherapy units, neonatal wards, hospitals, yes, but just imagine yoga studios up and down the country, your local Starbucks, uplifted. You know, you go in and you feel, okay. And in ancient India, you know, the temples were empty. They didn't have all this stuff. They were dedicated to Lord Shiva. You would go into the temple and lie on the floor. What were they doing there? They were getting the energy, because that conditioned space from divine intention is now pumping you. Okay?
which is remarkable. And the just of this conditioned space that is based in thermodynamics, where the D space turns into something that Hiller called the R space,
Right,
correct?
you're lifting it. You're just lifting it. So D space and R space are together all the time. What you want to do is go towards the reciprocal space or R space. That's a higher conditioning than D space is direct. That's our everyday reality, our everyday stuff. In R space, oh, cameras, you know, computers, they all take on information. They're repositories. They behave differently. The physics is different in reciprocal space. That's Tiller's, that's the first rung away from just electromagnetism and the standard model of the CERN. Okay, that's what we know. But
Yep.
once the Higgs boson was done, now you can move up. It's time to move up. Why go?
We're
Why keep?
we're not done.
We're not done.
I feel like we're in such a beautiful time to be alive. I feel like Dr. Tiller was so ahead of its time, where so much of this was just not welcome with open arms. There's so much skepticism in traditional form of science, where it's very difficult. But I feel like the paradigm shift has to happen, and people are becoming open to it. So Nisha, you know, I told you I have an intention statement behind a painting in
Mm-hmm.
my home. So there's the photograph over there of wild horses from my hometown that my brother took, and there's this.
Yes.
It's incredible how he captured it. So it's a
Yeah.
blessed painting, and I believe that images like that, for me, it imprint and condition my space. But what could people do to condition their spaces, right? Is it to
Mm.
have an intention for their space, or is it to bless their space, or is it to
Yeah.
just be joyful and dance in your underwear?
All of the above, really. If you want to have music and dance in your underwear, so be it. One of the things about intention, and Tiller said this and did this, was consistency. He went back and he did it. He went back and he did it. Reproducibility, repeatability. That's science, right? So he kept doing it. He says, when we were reproducing our experiments and our data, whoa, where the space was just different.
Mhm.
Okay. And then at first, the intention for water pH change took, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. Then it just took off. And I'll tell you, subsequently, it was just faster and faster and faster.
Mhm.
Okay. So once you meditate, say in my space, in my library here, I can work very easily and write because I show up, I show up, I show up and do my work. He called it the George's Garage effect.
Yes, I love
Okay.
that story.
Right. So when your CEOs, when they're wondering, it isn't the same anymore, well, you can go back and recapture that old essence, but be quiet in it. Okay. Be there. Yes, symbols like pictures, holy symbols, music, these are all divine, high level of information that now changes that space. We feel it, don't we, when we listen to good music or have an aromatherapy or have a loved one touch us or a smile of a stranger in a supermarket lifts my day, you know? So this is it. The space responds. You do it consistently, you'll be conditioning it.
Oh my God, I
And
this
I have written an intention just for space for my subscribers to my MailChimp. I'll send it to you.
okay.
I'll send it to you. Yes.
So is this
Because
something that we can?
I wrote a specific one to the divine, uplift my space, and you can write your address if you want. I crafted specific sentences you can write and then write it out, say it out, and you can read it with your children, with your husband. So as a group, you're saying a prayerful for your own dwelling, that your
Yes,
dwelling is special, your dwelling is for the highest good. The highest good includes everyone.
one.
You
Mhm.
and now you individually, and you're feeding to the field. Now you lift everybody up. Make no mistake, your prayers are not lost. That intention is not lost. It affects all of us.
Yeah, I think somewhere toward the end of the book, you talk about, I can't locate it right now, but you talk about, this isn't just about us individually. It's really about how do we serve the greater humanity? How do we make a difference in this world? And by changing
Yeah.
ourselves and being in the space of love and joy, by tuning out the noise, we really change the fabric of the society, which is just so, so brilliant.
Tell your clients, keep polishing your own self. Let go of those feelings of anger and loss of control. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Let the butterflies out. Let them out. Let them out. Don't hang on to them. That's not yours to keep.
Mhm.
You are an infinite field. Even that, you're an infinite field. You're a God. So where's the limitation here?
There's something that you quote Dr. Tiller in the book, and before I go on to the question, just want to remind our viewers and listeners to go to Dr. Nisha's website and sign up for that newsletter, because that's where we're going to get these more of these intentions. But in the book, you say the space of a single hydrogen atom has enough potential energy to sustain the entire Earth
Yeah,
and its inhabitants for millennia. In the
yeah.
emptiness of space, there are innumerable energies. So mankind potential for creativity and innovation is inexhaustible. So when I read this, I know the truth. Quantum physics, thermodynamics is coming forward and saying, yes, we know this to be true. All of these different things, but what I heard there, and this is where I want to take this quote of yours, is in the words of Edgar Cayce and William Russell, who talked about
Okay.
accessing the genius, right? They said that we all have access to the beautiful piece of music we want to create or an incredible book that we want to write, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that today we need solutions for the
Mm-hmm.
problems in the world. And because we're so tuned into the mainstream fear, we're tuning
Yes.
out away from that power from that hydrogen atom, right? So physics is so clear on it, but how do we access that genius,
Mhm.
intelligence that we can create in our lives for the well-being of others?
You know, first, I just want to make a little comment on the energy of a hydrogen atom, which actually John Wheeler, he was at Princeton, just a brilliant physicist who did the calculations. Okay. So each single hydrogen atoms has more energy than the entire solar system, 15 billion light years. Okay, we cannot conceive of those numbers. It's very hard to get our arms around
Mhm.
such comparisons. So I sometimes tell, imagine your pinky finger can light the whole of Chicago.
This
Your
is gonna
pinky
become a
finger can
symbol
light
now.
all of Chicago for a year, okay? So there you are. So, how can you access that genius, that which you are? Okay, you have to clean the mirror. So, I would say imagination is very key here. So, how do you activate the imagination? In the silence. But you have to clean the mirror. Shut out all of this television and diets that you're immersed in, which has really been really our MO for a long, long time.
Mm.
We have to unplug from that. It's okay. You're not missing a single thing. Now you have a potential to create something of your own. Okay. So when bridging science and spirit, all those doodles you see in there, those are my doodles. I'm a visual person, and I knew that this isn't going to be a science book. I had to imagine it, and I could see the bridge coming into view. It was very vague. It was then you plug more. I would draw here, I would draw there. Paul Dirac here. Okay. So your imagination is activated, and your creativity can come in many ways. It can come in a chocolate chip cookie, or
Mm.
it can come, okay, through a written proposal for your business. Ultimately, you want to serve. Ultimately, you want to serve. I want to serve with my electric company and my whatever invention. I want to serve humanity. And I'm going to do it with the best employees so that they too can rise to their own inner creativity. You're not limiting it should be this rule or that rule. You simply loosen up a bit. You
Mhm.
can get there, clean out your mirrors, go into silence and imagine it. Write the intention. My company is going to be number one SNP. I don't know how they write these things, but I do it for medicine all the time. Yeah, literally. What shall we write about today? And this is what I even told one of my patients, and I wrote a master class, 5 weeks to mastering rheumatoid arthritis, and I said, God is my chief medical officer.
Oh my God,
God is my chief medical officer.
I love
And
that.
it's the truth because that's it. Energy, energy comes from where? Spirit down to your information. Yes. It's like a transformer. Then it goes down into your acupuncture system. Then it goes into your nervous system, which goes into your immune system. So spirit, that which you are is spirit. That's thermodynamics. High energy flows to low. There you are. We said it in like a 5-year-old would understand. Okay. Energy flows from high to low. The source of energy is spirit. And in that great spiritual realm is our sun. Our sun gives us free energy all the time. Free. The plants take it in. We eat the plants. We make energy. That's it.
Unbelievable.
Nothing more complicated than that, really.
I
So
love that.
energy is your raw material.
As
you know,
of course it is. I love that. And I do want to comment on the graphics in the book, your doodles. I have never seen it has inspired me. I'm like, maybe I should do a doodle for the book because what it has done is sometimes when you would write about something maybe a little complex, I would see this beautiful graphic and I would get it. I would get it in an instant. So I want to thank you. It's like this book is just really, really beautiful.
coming back to people want something now, they're anxious, they feel out of control. Instant gratification, right? So, instant gratification. And that's what Tiller pointed out to me in Scottsdale in that restaurant. I said to him, meditation, and he says, do it, be consistent, because the more you do it, and it's true, it's so wonderful. It's the juiciness of life to be here, to be with myself, to know myself. And Master Jesus always said, know thyself.
Mhm.
Many years ago, when I was at Stanford, I felt out of control, and I was at Stanford University in rheumatology, lots of responsibility. I would say it was a little brutal. You're doing this and this, and you have very little sleep, you're running on empty, and you have to start on call tomorrow. I was in Palo Alto and I was driving home, and I really was a little apprehensive. Okay, I'm driving home, and I asked for help. I think I just said, help. That's the simplest prayer, help.
Wow.
And what came was, heal thyself, physician. I thought, what? It was like a voice came out of nowhere, heal thyself. I went home to San Carlos. I lived in, so I wrote it in my diary, heal thyself, physician. And I was, I think it was that commitment to truth, that when you're saying, help me see this differently. I am on call, I have work to do,
Mhm.
that I wasn't alone, that through this challenging period, I was seeing myself and rising and being okay with it. And it was okay, right? It was all okay, that everybody was safe, that I had help, that I come and with one patient after another, that I'm present, that I ask for help or ask the consultant. And so, physician, heal myself, heal my own mind.
Yes.
Ultimately, you're shifting your mind, okay? You're healing inside. And so, know thyself is consciousness. It has all these levels. People say, everything is consciousness, and then that's where they stop. I think it's very limited. Consciousness has its own states of being. You have a state of anxiety, you have a state of joy. Right now, it's a state of joy and happiness being with Jasna right now, right? We have a state of absolute light and ecstasy and absolute fear states. They're all on a continuum.
Are you referring to the map of consciousness?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, of David Hawkins. He really helped me understand that. So that's why to say consciousness and stop there is not enough. You have to know your state of consciousness. And not only that, you become aware of your preferences, your likes, and your dislikes, because spirit doesn't label, you are labeling.
Mm,
Once you know your preferences and prejudices, you can let go of them and choose again. This
yes.
is what Master Jesus does. He's a psychologist par excellence. He always says, come, my brother, choose again.
Choose again. Oh, I love that. And that is the choice that we can make every moment of every day, every year, no matter when, we can start again, we can choose again.
We can choose again. And if that's too difficult, breathe. And even as you start the car, say, I am love. You open the door, I am love. Get into the elevator, I am love. Drink your tea, I am love.
I love
So
this.
it's a contemplative way. You are simply aligning with the truth. There's nothing untrue. That's timeless. You just go, 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 go. Just with that one sentence, you could spend 20, 30 years of your life discovering the mysteries of I am love.
Oh, isn't that remarkable? And then having the hope, and may our intentions, an example of intention would be, I intend to work on my consciousness. I intend to open up my heart to love, open the window so the butterflies can fly out.
Mm-hmm.
So the intention can be as simple as that.
Yes,
And then
thy
it
will be done, O Lord.
Thy will be done, because what happens then is that we're literally changing, we're affecting our reality. We are, our thoughts, our intentions, we've talked about that. Intentions is literally, it's malleable. Our space or around us is malleable through our thoughts. It affects
Yeah.
matter. And that is, that takes us to the law of resonance or law of attraction, right? It's so popular. How do I create, Jasna, the millions and the mates and the, right?
The law of attraction was good as a beginner. I call it the kindergarten way, okay? Because again, where you are in a state of consciousness is where the it's like an iron filing. It moves towards the iron, the magnet. It's this huge thing. And the past doesn't push you. It's your decision for a future that pulls you into it.
Mhm.
Okay? Nothing is coming to you that way because you are rooted in the past. What you want to do is recognize that, okay, it's not the past pushing you, but your decision for a certain state of being in the future. And now you're ready to become that. You're becoming, right? You're an avatar in training.
I love that. I love that.
How's that one?
That
Avatar. No, but it's really true because Tiller often said, Nisha, if you can change water and you can change an enzyme and you can impact a fruit fly positively,
with
he
your
was
own
never
thoughts.
nasty. Yeah, he was always kind to these animals. Then you can spin off planets. And Lord Krishna shows that in the Gita. It is the truth. So he's showing Arjuna, his friend, that look, you don't recognize me. And you don't because we're cousins and, but you've asked, what is the reality? And he opens up his reality, which is so enormous that Arjuna sinks to his knees,
Too much
right?
to see.
Yeah, too much. So he gets amnesia again and he's back on the battlefield now. Well, hey, Krishna, what do I do about this problem here? Okay, so Gita has a lot of beautiful instruction, what we have already discussed here, all right, that we're in this great battlefield. Do not lose heart, my friends. You are an avatar in training. You have divine help. And ultimately, you are also divine. And you have to reach that divinity within yourself. Manifest it by becoming that. You don't attract it. You are that. You have to clean it out. And in little steps, you're doing it all the time.
I love that. On that note, Dr. Nisha Manek, internationally renowned integrative medicine specialist, and you are and protege of Dr. William Tiller, and just such a student and teacher of Tillerian physics.
Mm.
I really, I've listened to so many, probably every single YouTube interview video. I not lie. I've read this book now 3 times. I really
Wow.
have. I mean, I really, because it is so meaningful to me, and I feel like every time I listen to you, I learn something new. And what is just so remarkable, and what I really want to thank you enough, and my intention for this interview was, how do we make it so practical for people who are so spinning, who really want to find, well, what does this all mean? I don't care about intention. How do I make it work for me? Because I believe when we're suffering, we're really only focused on ourselves. How do I make myself better?
And that's okay.
Right.
You, more than anyone else, is worthy of your own love.
Amen. But
Okay,
then when
you
we
yourself are worthy of your own attention and love. And that's not selfish. That's the biggest gift you can give to the universe is self-care.
Amen. Because when we do, we rise in consciousness and we become
Yes,
loving towards everyone, towards
yes.
all everyone in the planet. And I do believe that we create the fabric of the society. And I believe that you are one of those people. So I cannot thank you enough for this conversation and for your time.
Jasna, you're very kind. You're so enthusiastic.
I was
I
so
can't believe you watched all those YouTube things. Oh my gosh.
Every single one of them, every single, well, there were just so many incredible backstories of your journey and the actual, all the experiments, and we're going to link those. But besides the findings, and people can read the book, how do I apply this today? So I'm forever grateful. And this is a meaningful conversation to me because I believe that we're on that trajectory towards creating a
Yes,
better world and all of us becoming
yes.
awake to our own power. And it starts with
Yeah.
inner peace and love towards oneself and everyone else around us.
We are in the Great Awakening, and it's going to be bumpy road ahead.
Bumpy road. I love
It'll
that.
be bumpy. It'll be bumpy. And you stay with the bumps, you buckle up, and you simply say, okay, I'm going to breathe today. Your intention, dear Lord, remind me to breathe today. It can be simple. Dear Lord, let me be of service to you, O Lord. St. Francis, okay. O Lord, help me shut off the television, O Lord. Shut it off. It starts like that, you know.
Yeah, really, thank you so much. For all of you, make sure that you order Bridging Science and Spirit on Amazon or any bookstores, anywhere where you buy books. Nisha Manek.
Jasna, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.